So it's Good Friday as I'm recording this, and I should be able to hopefully get this edited and up today. But I thought it would be a good occasion to talk a little bit about hope. And hope is something that I hope, pun intended, I hope is something that drives uh, uh, drives me in the way I do things and what I do, and it hasn't always been that way. Um, Even as a Christian, because hope is a Christian virtue. We're commanded to hope, but we've also been in this evangelical culture in the last 150 years or so that's made it really hard to, it. We are my whole life, we've been faced with end of the world predictions, and not just from the crackpots. I mean, we're talking about like mainstream books in Christian bookstores. What was that one book? 88 Reasons in 88, that 1988 was going to be the rapture, and then it was, oh, okay, we missed it for a few years, but it should be soon, and could be any day. It probably will be, be in the next few years, and there was a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk amongst Christians about, why bother? Why bother having kids? Why bother getting married? Why bother starting a business? Um, why bother having, um, doing any long-term project? There's a lot of talk about that, and I think we see it because I think, by the time we get to our parents' generation, I have zero stats on this, but my experience with pretty much everybody I met was that, Christian families had 2 kids, and 3 was a lot, and 1 was an uncommon. And even Christian kids were getting married later and waiting longer to have children. And that idea that like kids were a blessing, no, that wasn't talk that was really happening a lot, in kind of the mainstream evangelical circles. Um, I grew up believing that I was not going to experience much of life because the end was coming, and the whole problem with that eschatology is that whatever eschatology you have, it should be founded on the hope of Christ's return. But that evangelical culture made eschatology a threat, that all these bad things were going to happen, and we're probably all going to die from the Antichrist, and this is going to be really bad, and it's probably going to happen very soon. And so don't make any long-term plans. Um, and so the net result of that is that Christians withdraw from the culture, because why bother? Why bother engaging the world? Why bother, really making some long-term political plans? Just vote for lesser 2 evils. That's fine, because we it's not going to last very long anyways. There's nothing we can do. And this was the constant attitude of the way I grew up. And so we arrived to today, and there seems to be less reason to hope than ever. We've been in a war in Afghanistan for like 16 years now. Um, the culture has gone just insane, with some of the stunts that they're pulling. People are being dragged off United Airlines, and people are being bombed, and you know, Bernie Sanders is getting votes. Donald Trump is getting votes. It's like, it really does seem like we're on the edge of the end of the world. But I want to talk to you about shifting our attitude a little bit. Because here's the thing. The mentality of the mainstream Christian, I feel, is changing. And I feel like the bad theology that we have built up for the last 150 years, that has, driven down our birth rates, that has, kept us away from culture, that has, really pushed Christianity into a corner of the church and made it nominal and not a whole life experience. All of this bad theology is starting to crumble. As it has to, because bad theology has to crumble. But it's starting to crumble. And the trend, it feels like now, is toward deeper theology and better theology. And we're starting to have kids again. We're starting to really view children as a blessing. We're starting to apply, what we believe in our marriages, in our workplace, as parents, as friends. We're starting to apply these things, and it's slow, and we've got a long way to go. But while that's happening, the liberals, the socialists and the feminists and the what we call the bad environmentalists, the ones that are part of this culture of death, that thinks the solution is less people. That group, it used to be, when I was growing up, that the Christian had 2 kids and the atheist had 1 or 2 kids. Okay, and now it feels like the Christians are having 3 or 4 kids, and the atheists are having 0 and 1. The feminists are having 0 and 1. The socialists the side is not having children. And this makes an opportunity for us, if we can see past the headline today. If we can see past the headline today, if we get out of the mindset that the end is here, if we get out of that mindset and we are faithful to pass the faith on to our kids. So our kids' generation, the church is going to be stronger than ours is. Like, our theology is, I think, better than our parents' generation. It can be better with our kids' generation. And things look really bad right now. But I want us to start thinking of ourselves as a generation in the wilderness. That we have it bad. We're in this really weird world. We certainly don't have it as bad as generations in the past have. I mean, there's been Christian generations who have a lot worse. But we do have it bad. And we are in a really weird culture that doesn't like us. And that's fine. But it's our job to carry our kids as far forward as we can. And we can carry them a long way. And we can teach them a lot and put them on a pace to be much stronger Christians than we ever were. And they can be the generation that fixes the mess that we made for them. There's already trends going in that direction. I mean, when I was growing up, I never thought I would see a bill in a state legislature to abolish abortion. And several of them have popped up, and we want to, we want to be sad that these bills didn't pass. And it should, it should encourage us to fight even harder. It should. But the very fact that this was even proposed should be astonishing to us. And it should show us, where we are going as a people and what we have the power to do. There's so much that we can be doing and should be doing to prepare for our children, and kind of like David, we probably won't be the ones that are building the temple, but we can gather the materials, we can lay the foundation, we can start the hard work, and that's what I see us doing. And so now is the time for prayer, and now is the time for teaching, and now is the time for action, but now is the time for hope. And no matter what's going on in the world, and no matter the bombs that are being dropped, and no matter what the world has to say about us, Christ is on the throne, and he laughs at the plots of evil rulers. And so now is the time for hope. And that's something that I think the church as a whole had lost in the last 150 years, and that's exactly what put us in the place we are today. Hope is a virtue, and it is the birthright of every Christian. And so embrace it.